Factorizing. So factorizing is basically the opposite of expanding. And from what we've seen, expanding is just timesing out the bracket. It's timesing stuff to get rid of the bracket. Factorizing is just the opposite. You're trying to bring stuff back into brackets in a sense. You want to kind of put brackets back. So it's kind of going backwards. That's the best way to explain it without going on forever. Anyway, you got a question here. It says factorize 6y plus 9, and it's quite an easy question. When you're factorizing, you have to look at what we can take out from both terms, okay? So we have a 6y term and we have a 9 term, and what we can take out, we have to just look at the numbers in this case. What we can take out of 6 and 9, you should know is 3. So we can take out a 3, okay? So we have a 3 that we can take out. So I'll start my answer with a big 3. And now I'll make some brackets, okay? And it's a single bracket factorization because it's quite a simple one. So now that we've taken out a 3, if we do 6 divided by 3, we get 2. So instead of 6y, it'll be 2y. And if we do 9 divided by 3, we have 3. And that's the answer. So it's quite straightforward. You're just going backwards. And if you want to double check if that answer is correct, I can rewrite it here. So 3, 2y plus 3. We'll just expand that. So 3 times 2y, 6y. And 3 times 3, 9. Gives you what you started with. So you may be asked to factorize something that looks crazy like this. 12xy minus 8xz plus 4x squared y. And again, this is quite straightforward. So we're just going to concentrate on what we can draw out from all the terms, basically. So I'll start by looking at each and every number. And I'll think to myself, what can I take out from each and every number? And what I have figured out I can take out from the 12, the 8, and the 4 is a 4, funny enough, because 4 times 3 gives me 12, 4 times minus 2 would give me minus 8, and 4 times 1 will give me 4, okay? So that's that one done. Now I'll look at the x's, and funny enough, there's an x in each and every one of these terms. So basically, I can draw out an x. I can just take out an x. I can divide each and every one of this by an x, and x can also be taken out of this situation, x. Okay? Now you're probably thinking, why can't I take out a y? Why can't I take out a y from this? Why not? And it's because that minus 8xz is missing a y. This bit is missing a y, so we can't take out a y, unfortunately, okay? So that's not going to work. And we can't take out a z because the other two don't have a z in it. So when you're factorizing, the key thing to remember is you can only take out things that involve everybody in a sense. You understand? So yes, in this question, we can only take out the 4 and the x, and that's what's going to be outside our bracket. Again, this is a single bracket factorization, so there'll just be a massive bracket inside. And then we have to just look at what we times by 4x to give us the answers above, right? The terms above. So again, we times 4 by 3 to give us 12. So this will be 12. And then we won't have an x because we've divided x by x, which gives us just 1. So you just don't have to write anything. And then you have y here, okay? Next one, we times 4 by minus 2 to give us minus 8. So we have then minus 2. Again, x divided by x gives us 1, so we don't write anything. And then we have a z. So we just have minus 2z. And then we have now plus 4 times 1 gives us 4, so we don't write anything there. And x squared divided by x from the earlier in the course. X squared, if you have x squared and you divide that by x, you subtract the indices. The x is just like having x to the power of 1. So 2 take away 1 gives you just 1. So it just leaves you with an x, okay? So you have an x and then you have a y, okay? And that's the answer, pretty much. Again, if you want to double check, you can expand this to see if it gives us what we started with. So 4x times 3y gives you 12xy. 4x times minus 2z gives you minus 8xz. And 4x times plus xy gives you plus 4x squared y. Right? So hope that makes sense. Right, so factorizing quadratics. Not sure if I mentioned earlier what a quadratic is, but in a nutshell, a quadratic is an equation that has a term squared, usually at the front in this position here. So the factorized or two factorized quadratics, there's many different approaches, but I'm going to show you what I do. Right, so to factorize this quadratic, I will look at the 6. In fact, it's a plus 6, right? So we have a plus 6 we need to make. And we need to make a plus 5 here, plus 5x, right? Now, you have to actually understand how this is made. And the funny thing about quadratics is that these, when they are factorized, they are the double brackets that we looked at earlier. Okay? So if you understand how you expand double brackets, it's kind of like working backwards from that. So to get the plus 6, you have to figure out two numbers that multiply together to give you 6. And to get the plus 5, you have to think of the same two numbers that multiply together to give you 6. They have to also add or subtract to give you 5, okay? So if you look at the factors of 6, the ones that come to mind, or the easiest ones that come to mind, is 3 and 2, because 3 times 2 gives you 6. And funny enough, 3 plus 2 gives you 5. So the numbers that will go into your quadratics in the brackets will be 3 and 2. And I'll show you where you place them. So quadratics usually start, especially if they look like this, where you have the x squared at the front with an x and an x when you're factorizing, because x times x gives you x squared. Then you just now slap in the plus 3 and the plus 2, because again, 3 times 2 will give you the plus 6. And then when you do 3 times x, which is plus 3x, and x times 2, which is plus 2x, that gives you plus 5x, okay? So you can see it, if you expand it, and you can expand it if you want as practice, it will give you what you started with. So that's how you know you've done it correctly. So your answer that you'll put in your exam will be x plus 3, x plus 2. Right, so you may get a question and they may ask you to factorize a squared plus 7a plus 10. Again, I'll just focus on the plus 10 and the 7. And I'll figure out two numbers that times together to give me 10 and add together to give me 7. And it's going to be 5 and 2 again, because this one's quite straightforward. 5 times 2 gives you 10, and 5 plus 2 gives you 7. So when you factorize this, it would look like this. So you got a, then you got plus 5 plus 2. You're probably wondering, does it matter which way around? In this particular case, we doesn't, because they're both pluses. We could even write it as a plus 2 and a plus 5, and you'll still get the answer. Both of these are correct. Right, so this is another one that you can try. So you can pause the video and see if you can get it done. Okay, welcome back. So if you got that done, well done, but we're going to take a look at it. So again, what I'll do is I'll write down my 11 and minus 12 this time, okay? Really important to always take care of the sign, okay? I'm going to be drumming that in throughout the whole course because it's really important. You can lose very silly marks or very easy marks, let's say, because you're not taking care of the sign, right? So you got 11, you got minus 12. So you have to think to yourself, what do you times together to give you 11? And to be honest, because 11 is a prime number, it has to only be 11 and 1. But in this case, we can't just go with 11 and 1 because 11 plus 1 doesn't give us minus 12. We want minus 12. funny enough, what gives us minus 12 is minus 11 minus 1, because you're like adding negatively. So that gives you minus 12. And that actually works as well with timesing. Minus 11 times minus 1 gives you 11 from the multiplication rules. A minus times a minus is a plus, okay? So negative 11 times negative 1 is 11. So again, you've basically done the hard part. All you do is now draw in your bracket or double brackets because it's a quadratic. You put y here, and then you can put minus 11 minus 1. Again, because they're both the same sign, they both got negative here and here, you can rewrite that as well. So it doesn't matter which way you put it. So you can have like y minus 1 in brackets and y minus 11. They both they're both the same answer pretty much, and they both give you what you started with when you expand them. And that's that.